Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss book 29 in R.L. Stine's Goosebumps original series, Monster Blood 3. So this came out, what did I say, March 95? I just said it too. I just said it, and it already escaped me. March 95, 126 pages long. Right on the money, 126 pages long. Book 29. We're almost halfway done. We got two more, and we're halfway there. We got to be done with all 62 before Halloween. That is my goal. That is my objective. It is very difficult when so many other things are going on in life to then focus and say, okay, I have to do this. This is my deadline. This is what I have to do. I got this. I don't have to do it. There's no deadline. I didn't sign a contract or anything. I'm not gonna live or die if I don't do it. But I have to do it. So, book 29, Monster Blood 3, right? Monster Blood's my favorite arc within the Goosebumps banner. I just love that there's 4 books. They're all the same main character, Evan Ross. You have his best friend, Andy. They live in Georgia. Conan Barber, Conan the Barbarian, the bully from the second book, is back in the third. And so now, how does this come about? Now, I do have problems. I have problems with the cover because giant Evan here, at no point does he step on a playground and smush things. He steps on a car and smushes it. He goes into a baseball field and plays softball with kids. But at no point does he step on a swing set and there's the can of Monster Blood chilling in the background. No. False. Aside from that, Evan is tasked to babysit his cousin Kermit. And Kermit conveniently lives next door to Conan, which is very convenient within story development and character plots and, bullying and stuff like that, right? Conan is still a bully, and he beats Evan up constantly. A lot of violence in these books. But Kermit is a mad genius, right? He's a chemist. He mixes this with this to do that, and he makes this shrinking thing, which shrinks Conan's shirt, and that's why Conan, beats Evan at one point. So then at one point, Andy is hanging out with Evan after school, babysitting Kermit. And Kermit's playing tricks on them and stuff, and he puts the shrinking thing on one of Andy's mosquito bites, and it works. But then, he gives them a laughing juice concoction, and they just, are laughing hysterically, and Conan winds up beating Evan up, putting Andy in a tree, beating Evan up again, because he thinks that he's being made fun of, but he's not. Things, right? So, the objective is to get back at Kermit for pulling all these pranks, for then fake crying to his mom, Evan's aunt, saying what a terrible babysitter he is, all this stuff. He is, all this stuff. So Evan says to Andy, all right, let's use the Monster Blood. After Andy suggests it, and Evan's like, no. Horrible things happened the first time. Horrible things happened the second time. No reason for us to use it again. So in the first book, we have the Monster Blood being found at the toy store. It was the old almost expired can. And we know that it created all that havoc because of the magic that witch Sarah had cast, right? Evan's aunt's cat was a witch who casted this magical spell on the aunt and the Monster Blood. And then once the spell was not reversed, but once defeated, right? Then the Monster Blood disintegrated and only a tiny itty bitty speck was left that was in the can that Andy then kept. That can Andy brought to Atlanta with her when she moved to Atlanta with her folks who are overseas doing whatever. And so they use Andy gives a little bit of the Monster Blood, which then grows again after they look at it and it's starting to grow again. So they try to hide it. Conan finds it. They steal it back from Conan, which was still a hysterical scene, mind you, breaking into his room while he's listening to rap music. Wonderful. They give it tiny piece. Andy gives a tiny piece to Cuddles the hamster, who's the science teacher's class pet. Cuddles grows. Evan then eats a teensy weensy bit. That way he's as tall as Cuddles. That way they fight each other. And then they both shrink because it's then revealed at the bottom of the can that the expiration date happened. And therefore there's no more use of the Monster Blood, right? It's good until a certain date. So the question was, does Sarah the witch cast a spell on all Monster Blood, or was it specifically that particular Monster Blood? Well, the theory then, obviously, is that she cast the spell to affect all Monster Blood, because how then would the events of the second book happen, mixed in with the expiration date of the actual product? I'm trying to make logic behind all these kid books, I'm well aware, but it's a very far stretch of plot to tie in 4 separate books involving Monster Blood 4 separate times. So that's the thing. Sarah had to have cast a spell on all Monster Blood, which then affected the second story, but the spell ran out, obviously, because the spell is only limited to what the monster blood actually can do. So if the monster blood is designed up to a certain date and it expires, then so does the spell. There we go. This third book, Andy has the new can of monster blood that her parents brought back from Europe when they got back from Europe. I think they're in the military. So they found monster blood in Europe, brought the brand new can back. Doesn't mention anything about an expiration date in this, but it's because it's brand new. They cracked it open. And so to get back at Kermit, they're using the monster blood. So how do they use the monster blood to get back at Kermit? Well, Kermit's making this new concoction. He's mixing this yellow dough in a bowl in the basement in his lab. And so Andy slips in some monster blood, and the dough starts to rise and grow, and then eventually it explodes. But as it explodes, Evan conveniently is eating a piece of chocolate. He's eating a chocolate lick bar, and he's eating it, and as he goes, like, the dough shoots in his mouth as he eats the rest of his chocolate, and therefore he eats the monster blood again. So because he eats monster blood again, inadvertently, he starts to grow. But he eats a lot more in this book compared to the second book. Second book, he ate enough to grow about like 8-9 feet or something like that to fight Cuddles the giant monster. This book, he grows to be 2 stories tall. A story is roughly 10 feet, so he grows to about 20 feet tall. He's a giant. So he's breaks out of the basement, hysterical, goes with the kids, puts Conan in a tree as payback, inadvertently stomps on a car, goes to the baseball diamond, goes to the softball fields by school, plays with some friends, and then there's police, there's fire trucks, Conan's back saying, he's dangerous, kill him. And so, havoc. Evan escapes, hides behind this lot near Conan and Kermit's house that's being built, right? They have a whole pile of lumber that they're using to build a house. So he hides behind the lumber, and then he's like, okay, Evan, you're going to make the new concoction for the shrinking thing. That way I can go back to human size. So Evan takes 3 different types of concoctions, right? First one is not the shrinking thing, even though Kermit says he thinks he made it right, but obviously didn't. He turns himself blue. And then the second one, he grows feathers. And then the third one eventually is the shrinking one. And then he shrinks back to 12-year-old boy size because it's a year later. By the time the cops come to question the kids, hey, did you see a 20-foot giant running around? The neighbor said you saw something. And then they say, no, officer, we didn't see anything. So then that night, he, is having nightmares of rats chasing him and things. And, he tries to, get out of bed, turn the table light on to get a glass of water because he's thirsty, and he realized that he's so small, and Trigger, his Cocker Spaniel dog. We also are introduced to Dogface, who is Kermit's dog. So we have 2 different dogs in this franchise as well, Dogface and Trigger. So Trigger then picks Evan off the bookshelf, off the bed, like a toy, and then brings him to his parents' room, and then Evan squeaks out, I think we have a problem here, to his parents. Hysterical. How does Evan get back to full boy size in the 4th book? I don't know yet. I'm assuming the spell wears off, as in regards to the monster blood mixed with Kermit's mad science concoction wears off. That's why he's then going to go back to human size. That is my assumption. I don't know if that actually happened. I've never read the 4th book. I'm not familiar with the 4th story yet. That's the very last book in the 62-book series, so we're not going to read that until October, technically, if my math is correct. So we'll see what happens next. I love Monster Blood. I love that it's a 4-part series, that it's the same character arcs moving over. It's just wonderful. And I thought it was appropriate, if you're going to bring another character in, how do you bring a past character as well? In regards to Conan, how do you bring that dynamic back? Well, you have them be the next door neighbor. It's just so smart. It's so quick. It's so smart. It's so fresh. Absolutely love it. The 3rd Monster Blood 3, 29th book in the original Goosebumps series of 62 in total. We're almost halfway there. We can do it before Halloween. I will have to stay up extremely late and get up extremely early if need be, but we're going to do this. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.